And then Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Dharma family service. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy because it cooled down like 10 degrees at least, right? And it's gonna cool down again. In case you're online and don't live in the Bay Area or don't live in California, it's been hot. We had a little mini heat wave. And it wasn't that bad. It could have been worse, but still, I prefer it cool. So I'm happy to be here in a cool, even though we tried to cool down the Hondo and maybe not as much as we would have liked to, but it's okay. Let's begin our Dharma family service with sutra chanting, and we will be chanting Ju Se Ge, which is on page 23 in the small purple book. Namanda, namanda, namanda. Gagon cho se gan. Hishimu jodo shigan fu manzok seifu jo shogak gao munyoko fui dai seshu fu sai sho bingu sei fu jo shogak ga shi jo butsu do myo sho cho jippo ku kyo mi shomon Seifu jo shogak Ryoku jin shonen Jo e shubon yo Shigumu jodo Isho tenin shi Jinniki and Daiko Fushomu Saido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shuyakunam Kaiichi Egem Meshi kon mo an Hei soku sho akudo Tsudatsu zen shumon Koso jo manzok Iyo no jippo Nichigatsu shujuki Tenko onpugen Ishikai hozo Koseku dokuho Jodai shuchu Seppo shishiku Kuyoi saibutsu Gusoku shutoku hon Ganne shitsujoman 得意三害を如仏無下知津脱未不詳願学エリク都市最小尊志願や国家大戦を感動国書天人統地妙慶ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性祭道本菩提心往生安楽国ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナモ阿弥陀仏ナマンダ仏ナマンダ Okay, it's still hot. Let's see. Next, we'd like to recite the three treasures. And in my talk, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the phrases in here, so pay attention to what you're reciting, I guess. Not as if you don't do that always. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you. I'd like to now deliver the Dharma Talk. For our Dharma Family Service today, October 8th, 2023. And I'd like to, well, I'll give you my title. The title is Mahayana Buddhism, the Three Treasures, and Coffee. It's not really aimed at Dharma school, so I'm going to try not to be too boring, but Don't hold me to that. When you think about it in a Dharma school sense, it's kind of like, I heard that there's a monk named Bhante Silavimala, who was at IBS for many decades, and he came to the United States in the 70s. And so one way that he understood Buddhism that you can kind of understand in your daily life is be smart and be kind. Okay? Be smart and be kind. I expressed that once to the congregation. I don't know if I totally like it, but it's a way, you want to try, being smart. There's different kinds of ways to be smart, but I think a lot of it is about learning, right? Trying to learn what you're being taught. And when we go to school, we have all these different subjects, right? Math, English, science. What else do you learn at school? History, social studies. That's what they called it when I was in school, right? You have all these different subjects, and some of it's pretty hard, and there's a lot of stuff to learn, right? But you want to try to learn your best, right? Pay attention and learn your best. So that was his, be smart, be kind. I kind of adapted that to be aware and be kind, right? So rather than have it be about being smart, intelligence, all that kind of stuff, right? I like to think of it maybe more as to be aware and be kind. And then you've heard my 3 B's, right? Be aware, be kind, be yourself. Right? So that's taking that smart and kind and adding on that Shinshu side. But today, I'm talking about Mahayana Buddhism, the 3 treasures, and coffee. So here we go. Mahayana Buddhism, let's start there. Did you have your coffee already? I hope. Or some caffeine, right? Okay. But you might need the other half by the end of this. Okay, so Mahayana Buddhism. That's our kind of Buddhism. Okay, we are one school of Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, and Maha means large or great. Like maybe you've heard of the Maharaja in India, right? The great king. So Maha means large or great. Yana is vehicle. So actually Bhante used to joke because he had Hinayana means smaller vehicle, and he used to have like this little green car or something, and then he got somebody gave him a Mercedes, and he's like, that's my Mahayana, my great vehicle, right? So it is kind of like a car, right? Or a boat, right? Or a cart, some kind of vehicle that you can ride in, okay? So we can think of Mahayana as the great vehicle. Mahayana Buddhism is found in China, Korea, Japan, Vietnam. Also, I think we could say Tibet, Mongolia, although those are also Vajrayana, which is the Vajra vehicle or esoteric Buddhism. But they also have Mahayana there too, a lot of the similar ideas. But of course, all over the world, right? There's Mahayanas everywhere, as is Theravada, which is kind of the other main branch. And we think of that like Sri Lanka, where Bhante is from, Thailand, Cambodia, Burma, Laos, and all over the world, right? There's Theravada everywhere too. Actually, I went to, while I was visiting someone at the hospital, the chaplain was a Theravada Buddhist chaplain, maybe Highland Hospital or something, I forget, Mount Eden. So I thought that was interesting. So Theravada is all over too, but we're Mahayana. And so the thing I wanted to point out about Mahayana that's kind of special is about Buddha. So Theravada Buddhism, very often we think of Buddha as Shakyamuni, also known as Siddhartha Gautama, right? And so I took a picture, one of those pictures back there. This is kind of like this idea of Siddhartha, of Buddha. It's a person, right? Like a regular person, like you and me. Shakyamuni actually lived 2,500 years ago, right? And so that's one way to think of Buddha. But there can also think of Buddhas, not just one. So we got Amida Buddha is our Buddha, right? There's Maha Vairochana Buddha, Dainichi Nyorai. There's Medicine Buddha, etc. There's gazillions of Buddhas. And I'm using gazillions as a technical term because I don't want to use like billions or millions, because that you can actually count. Gazillions is like innumerable, uncountable, but so many, right? So Mahayana has multiple Buddhas. It's not just Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni, Amida, and so many others, okay? Boom. So there's more of this kind of cosmic Buddha, This is Amida Buddha, right? And there's flames around his body. There's like a halo of flames, and around his head there's halo of light beams, and it's all gold. This is actually our small chapel Buddha image. We don't see it that much. We just see this one, right? But we have another Buddha image over in the small chapel, and it's beautiful. It's really incredible. And so there's a picture of that. So that's Amida Buddha, right? So here's the key. Buddhas, not just Shakyamuni, not just Amida. You can become Buddha. That's key for Mahayana Buddhism. You can become Buddha. Did you know that? Right? It's not just this other person out here. It's not a god or deity that's somewhere out there different than us. You can become Buddha. So, here's where we move to the three treasures. Were you paying attention when we chanted, when we recited the three treasures? Right? I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. That last part is the part that got me, right? And do you ever think about that? When you're reading the three treasures, do you just read it? Yes, I'm reciting the words and just doing it without thinking. Or when you see this, do you think to yourself, what's your supreme will? What does that mean, right? And so, awaken in ourselves your supreme will. Assuming that means Buddha's supreme will, right? But what is the supreme will? Wow. So, I'm going to say it. It's bodhicitta. Does that answer the question? No, right? Because that's Sanskrit. So why would you know what bodhicitta is, right? So you have to figure out what's bodhicitta. And so we actually say it every service. Ganni shiku doku byodo se isai do hoten bodai shin ojo anakok. So do hoten bodai shin, bodhicitta. So bodhi is awakening. That's what Buddha means. It's bodhi and Buddha, right? Buddha means awakened one. Bodhi is awakening itself. Okay, so bodhi is awakening, citta is mind. That's why it's bodai shin, because shin is kokoro, right? Heart and mind. So bodhicitta is the mind aspiring for awakening. Right? Bodhicitta. Let's awaken bodhicitta. Let's awaken this wish to become Buddha. But it's not just that. It's also the mind aspiring to save sentient beings, to save all beings. So it's not just me wanting to become Buddha for myself. It also means I want everyone to be Buddha. I want everyone to be liberated from samsara, from the three poisons, from birth and death. So, and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. When we say that, we mean awaken the wish for Buddhahood. Right? Realize, wow, I want to be Buddha. Also, the mind aspiring for awakening and to save all beings. Right? So that not only do I want to become Buddha, but I want to help everyone. And not just humans, right? Animals, any kind of living being. I think we could just extend that to just the whole planet, maybe even the whole universe. Right, to try and save all beings. Okay, are you ready? Now let's switch to coffee. Okay, so the reason I want to, okay, so I don't know how many of you know, I did a little bit of this at Momiji-kai, so it might be a little repeat, but I'm going to do a little different. Did you know I used to work at a coffee shop? That's what I used to do for my job. It was called Coffee Connection. That doesn't exist anymore, and I don't want to advertise the company that took it over, but this is one way you can read it. I tried to blur the image, so right, so that you can't tell exactly what it is. Don't sue me, okay? So this is the company that I worked for, and it was a great experience. I started working there when I was, about 21, 22, and I don't know if you've ever worked retail. It's not easy. Okay? But I think working in food service is even harder, right? Because it's food. People are taking this into their bodies, right? And I would say working in coffee is the hardest because people are grumpy, right? They get grumpy if they don't get their caffeine, right? And so it was not an easy job. And I worked there, maybe 3, 4 years while I was playing in my band, and just something to do. But I got meet lots of people. I got to be out in the world. I got to meet my coworkers and managers, but also customers. They're the problem. No, I mean, they're the best part. And you've probably heard me say it before. When you work at a job, especially retail, like 80% of the people, it's just a transaction. No big deal. The top 10%, right, are really interesting people, or really nice, right, or fascinating, or whatever. So you meet people when you're working that are really cool, right, and maybe even develops into a long-term relationship, right, friends or whatever. The bottom 10%, that's the hard part, right? The people that are really grumpy or entitled or whatever, right? And so dealing with those people is actually, I think, really good Buddhist training, right? And that's what I was doing. I discovered Buddhism a couple years earlier, and then I'm working in this coffee shop, right? Doing my best. I'm learning a lot. Sometimes difficult, right? I could tell you stories. I'm not going to go, I can't, some of them I can't. There was one guy, we called him the honey guy. We never saw him, but we'd notice suddenly all the honey's gone. Because we had honey in the like syrup thing, we had honey in these little packets, and we'd be like, where'd all the honey go? And so we go, we'll try to find the honey guy. Where is this guy? He's stealing all the honey. What's he doing with it? Is he in the bathroom? What's going on? Where'd the honey go? Right? So stuff like that. Oh, when I worked at Cody's Books, we had the Slimer. You'd go and you'd find a book like laying on the top of the shelf, and you go to grab it, it's all gross. What's going on? The Slimer, find the Slimer, right? So there's people like that out there just doing their thing, and it can be difficult to deal with when you're working, because then you have to clean off the book, or replenish the honey, or whatever, right? So having to deal with some difficult people was certainly a big part of the job, but one day, I was standing at the register, and this thought popped into my head. I like people. It was weird, because I was really shy. I was introverted. I was a loner when I was like in junior high school, even college maybe. And then after working with all these people, even the difficult ones, like the difficult ones were the ones popping into my head. I was like, wow, I like people. It was kind of mind-blowing, right, to realize this. I was into Buddhism, but I hadn't yet made the decision to become a minister, right, to move out here. But that was a key step, right, to realize, wow, even these difficult people that normally we like to make fun of or complain about, with the coworkers and that kind of thing. Nope. It was this realization, wow, I like people. Later on, I discovered, wow, Buddhism is it for me. It used to be music, now it's Buddhism. Right? And I left my band, I left everything behind, moved out to Berkeley to go to Institute of Buddhist Studies. But this coffee shop experience, right? Realizing, I think part of it was I enjoyed the job. I actually enjoyed working the register and facing all the bills and counting out the change and, just this kind of like minutia kind of stuff. But I kind of enjoyed it. Actually, coffee shop, I learned about coffee from one of the great masters of 20th century American coffee, George Howell. Starbucks, I didn't mean to say their name. They actually based their flagship store on his flagship Coffee Connection store in the 70s. Right? He helped bring, after Peet's, George Howell brought this kind of like good coffee to America, to the East Coast, changed the coffee landscape. And then Starbucks was number 3. They came behind and just kind of gobbled everything up. Right? And so I was so fortunate. I got to learn from a master. I learned how to appreciate coffee, how to drink it. It's almost like wine tasting, how to acidity and body and all this stuff. Like I never drank coffee before. And then I learned this incredible coffee. Right? So I learned so much from him. He was a teacher, but the customers were my teachers too. My coworkers were my teachers. Like thinking back, that if I hadn't worked at Coffee Connection, maybe I wouldn't have become a minister, I think. Just that experience of dealing with so many people, trying to help them through their day, trying to give them their caffeine, giving them their snacks, right? This stop in the middle of the day. When you're working and you're not in coffee, I get it. You go in there, you want them to have their act together, right? And if the coffee shop doesn't have their act together, it's like, come on, what is wrong with you people? What are you getting paid for? I get it. When you're on the receiving end of that, it's a little different, right? Because all kinds of stuff happens. And yet, even those difficult times, I learned so much. So it wasn't just for me having a job, making money, right? It wasn't just for me learning about coffee. It was also helping others. It was trying to do my job right so that others could be happy, so that others could wake up, right? Others could enjoy their day. And in hindsight, realize, wow, maybe that was kind of like bodhicitta, right? The mind aspiring for awakening, the mind trying to save all beings, right? That this kind of doing it for me, but not just for me, also doing it for others, trying to help others. So at the same time, me trying to become Buddha, me trying to do this, but it's also Buddha coming to me, right? That it's not just me benefiting others and benefiting myself, it's the other, Amida Buddha, benefiting me. I'm being taught. I'm the recipient, more than me trying to do it. Right? So that's the Shinshu twist on it. Right? It's not just me trying to get there. You can, we can become Buddhas, but it's because of Amida Buddha's vow. It's because of Amida Buddha that we're able to live our everyday lives as just normal everyday people and yet be born in the Pure Land and become Buddha. This is fast. The other schools, you got to throw stuff away, you got to meditate, you got to go on retreats, you got to do different than normal, right? You have to perfect yourself. You don't get to have just have your everyday life. You can, but you have to put it aside sometimes. But our school, no, it happens in our everyday life because it's coming from Amida Buddha. This benefit coming to me as much as I'm benefiting myself and benefiting others. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint. Now does it make more sense? Awaken in ourselves your supreme will. That's what it's about. It's encouraging us to think about Buddhahood, right? Encouraging us to aspire for Buddhahood. But you don't have to do it yourself either. It comes naturally. I didn't set out working at Coffee Connection and going to Japan to study and all this stuff. I didn't do that thinking I was going to be a minister, thinking I was going to be Buddhist. It all came to me. It happened to me. Right? So I was so fortunate to have that experience and reminded of it every time we recite the three treasures. So why don't we conclude with Gassho, and together we can recite this portion of the Buddha Refuge. Ready? Let's do it together. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay. Now we got something different. We're going to have Junior Young Buddhist Association cabinet installation. So I'm going to hand it over to Jordan. Let me switch the camera view.
Hi, I'm Jordan Kim.
I'm Joshua Lang.
I'm Madison Ikeda.
We're the 2023 to 2024 Junior YVA cabinet, and we're looking forward towards a good year and, yeah, lots of things being done.
Okay, so stay here, stand in front of here, and we'll do the installation. Okay, repeat after me in Gassho, please. I take office on the, cabinet? On the cabinet of the Junior YBA, aware that it will require a commitment of time and effort. I will do my best to lead through both action and direction, using the Buddha Dharma as my guide. I affirm this pledge by taking refuge in the three treasures. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you. Turn around, and we'll take a picture. Yeah, let's give him a big hand. Thank you. Okay, next we will have announcements from Robert Noguchi.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sensei, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Buddhist Church of Oakland. It's great to see all of you here today. I'd like to first thank Reverend Bridge for his Dharma Talk and officiating this morning's service. I'd like to thank the Host 7 group, which is led by Maya Lawrence. Thank you very much for all the hospitality you're providing for those of us here at the church this morning. And the Zoom crew taking care of the sights and sounds and the YouTube recording presentation. So thank you very much to everyone. There's a lot going on. This is our first weekend, actually second weekend in October. Just later on this morning, the Shini Kakushini Lady Otani service for the Oakland Buddhist Women's Association will take place at 11 o'clock. Next, this is the BCO website, by the way, in case you haven't seen it. There's a lot on here. And actually, if you go down here to our events and activities, upcoming services and events, there's a lot here. Next weekend, Saturday the 14th, we're gonna have a special anime movie presentation called Your Name. This is a movie from 2016. It was mentioned at our Obon service back in August by Reverend Dr. David Matsumoto, and he highly recommended it. And if you look at the Bushin and on the website, we do have a link to the not only the trailer, but to Reverend Matsumoto's talk. And I've been saying that I would recommend you watching it just because this movie, it's a kind of a time travel movie. So it does get kind of confusing. So I'm really glad that I watched Reverend Matsumoto's talk a couple of times actually in order to help understand and make what's happening in the movie. So anyway, that's happening next Saturday from 1 to 4. So we hope that you'll join us here downstairs in the social hall. Next Sunday after that is Kato Kai, saluting our senior citizens of the Buddhist Church of Oakland. That'll be next Sunday. Next Sunday the 15th, and we'll have lunch too, provided by the host group. So we appreciate that, and we would appreciate all of you coming. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. On the 22nd, Dharma Family Service at 10 o'clock, as well as our Dharma Chat. Our second Dharma Chat, we had a Dharma Chat last month, and I want to thank everyone for coming, and we got a lot of great ideas, a lot of good topics, and we're kind of setting the schedule up for future Dharma Chats as well as study classes happening in November and in January. So keep a watch on the Bushin. Actually, here it is on the website right here, talking about Dharma Chat. So we hope you'll join us on Sunday, October 22nd, right after Dharma Family Service at 10:45. At the end of October, we hope that it's great to see not only Dharma School students today, but the Junior YVA. Congratulations on the installation and the officers for the new year. We'll be having our annual Halloween party on Sunday, October 29th, Namo Amida Butsu. And we hope that you'll join us from here at 10 o'clock. We'll have service and then the party. Make sure you RSVP back to the office and let them know if you're coming, and please come in costume. Okay, let's see. Going to the BCA, the Buddhist Churches of America website, buddhistchurchesofamerica.org. There's a number of things happening there, and if you scroll down, you'll see upcoming events, some talks and webinars and things like that happening. But actually, I wanted to focus on the Center for Buddhist Education, having the one on this flyer on the far right, the BYR and Friends event will be happening on Thanksgiving weekend, November 25th. And that's for high school and college age students. So I would, if the junior YBA could take a look at this, I think it would be a really, really nice event if you're around during Thanksgiving. Okay, the registration is right there, so you can register online. And if you have any questions about it, you can contact the Center for Buddhist Education at the Jodo Shinshu Center. Going back to the BCO website, Buddhist Church of Oakland, we welcome and appreciate any and all support that you can give us. Donations of any size are welcome. You can do it through PayPal, through these little button things here. And even just a general donation or a service donation is fine. You know, we really would appreciate that. So thank you very much for for coming today, for your support, and for watching us online. And I'll send it back to Sensei. Thank you.
I'm back. Well, thank you very much. I wanted to point out the special robe I'm wearing. This light blue robe is was given to the OBWA, Oakland Buddhist Women's Association, I believe by Reverend Kodo Umezu. And we are having our special Eshinni, Kakushinni, and Lady Yoshiko Otani memorial service at 11 after this, and everyone is welcome to attend. You don't have to be an OBWA member. And also, I don't know if Robert mentioned Keirokai, but next week is our Keirokai service, and so we're really excited about that. And I know it's a Dharma School day too, and we'll also have some entertainment during our Keirokai luncheon with Brian Wong, who's there in the back, and I might even make a guest appearance. So with that, let's conclude our Dharma family service. With Gassho, as we recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Okay, thank you.